Alright, so when I first looked at the subject of learning in a globalized world, I thought it was all about cultural education. So learning in different cultures and how they learn and yeah, all the different aspects of that. But as I got into it, I learned I did not know much about globalization at all. I heard the word globe and I thought that'd be a cool thing to study and yeah. But after 12 weeks of the subject, I now feel actually educated in the area and I frequently start discussions with friends, when we're out and stuff. So, what is globalization? You saw a few pictures before of both the negative and the positive aspects that have been shown. But is it the explosion of corporate companies worldwide? Is it taking over small villages and give everyone the same stuff? Is it the spread of these companies' workers to small, undeveloped countries in bad working conditions in order just to get richer? Or is it the growth of the world and everyone working together around the world to achieve a global community? To me, I see both. The companies that have spread to underdeveloped countries to outsource their workers in order to pay cheaper wages and to overtake certain cultures, but also world organizations and many countries now bonding together to help one another. For example, the crisis now in Nepal and everyone spreading and rallying together in order to achieve together the rebuild of Nepal. So, in week one of Learning in a Globalized World, we're actually posed 6 questions about globalization. The questions were: what is globalization? What is the current state of globalization? What is the process of globalization? When did globalization start? And what are the subtopics of globalization? Oh, sorry, there's another one. Where will a globalized world system lead us? So, going to the first one, what is globalization? I spoke a little bit before showing pictures and just about what I think globalization is and what effects it has. But if you actually just give globalization a quick Google search, it'll come up stating that globalization is the process of international integration arising from the interchange of worldviews, products, ideas, and other aspects of culture. See, I found it interesting that products was one of the major parts of globalization, which is good because it is a positive and a negative side of it as well, which I spoke about just before in there. I think with globalization as well, it's meant to be a widespread of different cultures and a certain culture being accepting and having the opportunity to experience another culture, but instead it just gets one culture overtaking the rest. For example, the American culture and the fast food systems, which is taking over the world one by one. So when we talk about when globalization started, a lot of people mention the Silk Road and when trade was first able to be transported from country to country and from culture to culture. But I think of it a little more deeply of pretty much as soon as someone could travel. As soon as they could travel by boat to another country, that was pretty much the start of globalization. As it became a sharing of cultures and a sharing of ideas, although might not have always been accepted, and sometimes it led to major conflicts, but it's still a sharing of what is considered globalization and their own culture. So, what is global environment sustainability? Well, in week two, we watched Inconvenient Truth, which is a movie about global warming and the effects it has on the world, pretty much. The greenhouse gases that are overtaking our world, also the ozone layer, and how Australia is the only place to have a hole in it as well. Um, Sorry, when talking about global warming, you have to have the token picture of a polar bear on a single iceberg. So, when most people think environmental sustainability, they will think air pollution, which is global warming. But one of the actual major parts of sustainability is land and water pollution also. So the dumping of oil in in the oceans, and also the burying of our trash as well. Instead of recycling and compost bins and everything, we actually bury our own trash within dumps. And what type of world is that still going to leave for the generation behind us? So So now, global health. What is global health? To me, I think global health is accessibility for all, and I know it's one of those for all statements, but it's not run by the corporate fat cats. It's actually run by a lot of non-government organisations who do a lot of great work to help poverty lines mainly. So a lot of the time in Africa, through companies like Oxfam and World Vision, they will help those in need that can't afford or can't get access to um, medical medical supplies in a hospital. They will help them actually gain access to the area through globalization and being able to use globalization as a tool to service global health. So now the serious stuff. Global peace. Global peace is an idea and a dream, really. Um, it usually leads to global conflict. Yeah, because people think that in order to achieve peace, everything has to be done one certain way, and that certain way has to be their way. So therefore, we have a lot of world conflicts and world issues resolving around mainly religion, uh, oil, accessibility, and even just dominance over another country as well. And that's where we really falter at the line in an ideal term of globalization, because it's once again being seen as it needs to be done one certain way instead of acceptance of all the different ways that it can be done. So I did a quick search on global education and what it is and how it can be achieved. And I think this is actually one of the most likely parts of globalization that can occur, as it will definitely lead to more cultural acceptance and cultural understanding if we are able to learn about different cultures and we all actually learn about the same thing as well. I must mention when I talk about global education, I'm actually referring to a global curriculum and how it can benefit all involved if everyone chooses to use it, if um, we're all on the same page about global understanding. But speaking on a more Australian level, I've had a look at AusBells and within the area of humanities in economics as well, because it seems that was one of the key areas of globalization. But it only in the third paragraph does it talk about any part of globalization. It states that they developed skills in using economic reasoning, including cost-benefit analysis, to research economic issues and propose solutions for economic problems of global significance. So it's not until the senior secondary where we really go in depth and start to study about globalization and global significance. So learning about things on a global scale. And I feel this is something that needs to be done and needs to be taught, as if we don't do something about our world now, well, there's not going to be one to live in. So it's now getting dark outside, but I just wanted to finish with my final stance on globalization and what I've learned from the subject of learning in the globalized world. So coming in with no real knowledge of globalization or what it was, and now leaving with what I feel can hold a topic with anyone about globalization has helped me so much, and something I'll take into every classroom and every lesson I teach, knowing that I'll be teaching the future generations of what they need to do and what needs to be done to achieve globalization, as it is something that is very positive and can be have great aspects to our world developing, and it just needs to be done in the right way. So if we can find the right way to do it, then I say go for it. And yeah, so globalization, thumbs up from me.